the top of that mountain. It was covered with moss. The moss was as soft and as rich as if it were made just for me. So I would lie on that rock, on my back, and look up at the sky through the tallest trees I'd ever seen. I don't know why the lizards that ran around me didn't scare me, nor the sounds that I heard that could have been animals or snakes. When looking back, I know that I felt that rock was protecting me. I didn't know it then, but being in that unforgettable place was the beginning of my journey to priesthood. At a young age, that's where I found God. In the forest, I experienced God. I don't know why I recall that as the beginning of my religious journey, but I do. It was as irresistible as God is to me now. I became contemplative at an early age, and that has sustained me throughout my religious life. Those mountains and that rock, I know, became part of my journey. I could never talk about myself in seminary in Boston without also talking about my beloved hills of West Virginia. They're part of my soul. That rock is now gone. When I last visited Filbert number 9, I could see the stripping going on in the distance. I looked over the distance from the cabin. I could only see trucks and other vehicles stripping away the mountains where once we could look into the hills of Virginia. My younger sister and her friends used to venture into those same mountains when she was young, and they called that space fairy forest. I never asked why, but I imagine she and her friends found a place where they could pretend that there were little gnomes and fairies that protected them from dangerous snakes and other animals. When my younger sister was born, my paternal grandfather walked me through the mountains and pointed out 2 wild turkeys. I'd never seen such beauty nor experienced such companionship. It was a place where we discovered our relationship, and it felt as though we were in another world. This was before I could venture into the mountains alone and find that rock, which brought me to this way of life. My father was an underground miner. I lost an uncle in a mine blast. His death left behind a wife and 2 children. But a lot of other men also lost their lives as I grew up in that beautiful, wonderful place. And the death seemed so usual, even part of the community. The union assured everyone that they would inspect the mines for safety, and we believed and trusted in that. What I wasn't aware of is that the people who owned those coal mines were all from out of state. Baltimore, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and other large cities. I only learned this as I got older and realized how paternalistic life is. My father in particular was someone who fell into the hands of those he knew owned him. He became dependent on them in a way I don't think he ever realized. It was unhealthy, and even sometimes ventured into knowing my father as someone who could not survive on his own. As I grew older, I wondered how his life and dependency on the industry would influence my own life, and I know it has. According to the Friends of Coal, report dated 2009, there are 305 underground mines in West Virginia and 232 surface mines. Throughout the U.S., however, there are 583 underground mines and 852 surface mines. When I read that, I grieved for all those mountains that were being stripped away from the people. Interestingly, the surface mines and underground mines that are not scrutinized for inspections as they should be exist in the places where people have no voice. The people are told to lie to the inspectors to protect their jobs. In my own county, which is McDowell, which now ranks as the poorest county in the country, surface mining has caused flooding in the past 15 to 20 years. So much so that people that gave their lives to mining have had to move away. Displaced older people I know grieve leaving a place once filled with laughter and the joy of neighbors. I drive through Keystone and pass by netting that is as tall as a 3-story building to protect the people from the dust and dirt that drifts from the stripping away of the mountains. In my own little town of Filbert, which has about 20 or so families, I have heard that bears or other animals now venture to backyards and streets because they too are displaced. I know the 2 largest mine-owning operations are Consol Energy out of Pittsburgh and Massey Coal Company Incorporated, which was recently bought by Alpha Natural Resources with headquarters in Virginia. Those who live in Pittsburgh and Abington, Virginia cannot appreciate the devastation of those of us who watch our mountain, know God's mountains, be destroyed. They live in relative comfort and cannot see God's creation fall to the hands of greedy and irresponsible owners. I envy them for their joy, for we who long to once walk again through our mountains will never have that again. I am a supporter of underground mining.
Your wife?
I am a supporter of underground mining. I am a supporter as long as the owners maintain proper and critical inspection and safety measures. I am not, and will never be, however, a supporter of strip or surface mining. Stop the rape, stop the sin. Stop playing with God's creation as though you own it. You don't own it, and we don't own it here. They're God's. Let us, we ardently pray, have what is left of our mountains. The Friends of Coldwell is playing out in Morgantown. Did the students there know that the Friends are not really our friends, but merely frauds? Did students even know that there's a Friends of Coal Women's Auxiliary who are responsible for an education? Do they ever show the films that inform about the destructiveness of strip mining to the children? Let us pray that they be fair and show both sides of the story. It is our right to demand and expect that of them. I pray that one day the mountains will once again sing. I don't care how a surface mine is reclaimed. Nothing that is gone can ever be reclaimed. Only God can do that. And so I pray for you who stand here today and practice your right and responsibility to protest. May someone out there in West Virginia or federal government hear your voices, and my prayer that one day, God's creation will not be taken from us. God bless West Virginia, all of it, and God bless you. Be at peace with your consciousness. Father, Dan Pisano.